Hi everyone, I'm going to show you how to round to significant figures. There are of course other methods and videos available. Before we start, there are a few things you need to know and understand. You need to understand what place value is and how it works. You need to know how to round to tenths, whole numbers, tens, hundreds, thousands, and so on. You need to know that significant figures are always counted from the left. It's always the first non-zero digit from the left. In the example of 248,301, the first non-zero digit from the left is 2, so the first significant figure is 2. The second significant figure is 4, the third significant figure is 8, and so on. In the example of 0.02914, the first non-zero digit from the left is 2, so the first significant figure is 2. The second significant figure is 9. The third significant figure is 1, and so on. If you have a 0 that's between non-zero digits, that counts as a significant figure. For example, in 3057.8, the first significant figure is 3 because it's the first non-zero digit from the left. The second significant figure is 0. The third significant figure is 5, and so on. The 0 is between the 3 and the 5, so it is significant. Rounding to one significant figure. 248,301. The first significant figure is 2. This represents 200,000, which means we are essentially rounding to the nearest 100,000s. In this case, the answer is 200,000. The zeros here give the 2 its value of 200,000. Without the zeros, it doesn't equal 200,000. In the example of 3057.8, the first significant figure is 3. This represents 3,000, which means we are rounding to the nearest thousands. This becomes 3,000. We do not put any zeros after the decimal point. Those won't give the 3 its value. The 3 zeros after the 3, however, give it the value of 3,000. In 71.045, the first significant figure is 7. This is 7 tens, so we are rounding to the nearest tens. We get 70. Again, do not put any zeros after the decimal point, only enough to give the significant figure its correct place value. So we just need 7, then a 0, so that it's got a value of 70, and that is it. In 0.02914, the first significant figure is 2. This 2 represents 2 hundredths, so we are rounding to the nearest hundredths. This ends up as 0.03. The zeros before the 3 give the 3 its value of 3 hundredths. Do not put any zeros after. They are not significant and don't give any place value to the 3. Rounding to two significant figures. In 248,301, the first significant figure is 2, the second is 4. This 4 represents 40,000, which means we are rounding to the nearest 10,000s. This becomes 250,000. The zeros give the 2 and the 5 their value of 250,000. In 3057.8, the first significant figure is 3. Remember, the second significant figure is 0. this 0 represents 0 hundredths, which means we are rounding to the nearest hundreds. This becomes 3,100. Remember, we do not put any zeros after the decimal point. In 71.045, the first significant figure is 7, the second significant figure is 1. This is 1 unit, which means we are rounding to the nearest units, or whole number. So this becomes 71. Again, do not put any zeros after the decimal point. In 0.02914, the first significant figure is 2, the second significant figure is 9. This 9 represents 9 thousandths, so we are rounding to the nearest thousandths. This becomes 0.029. Remember, the zeros beforehand are needed to give the correct place value, but none are needed after the 9. Rounding to 3 significant figures. In 248,301, the first significant figure is 2, the second significant figure is 4, and the third is 8. This 8 represents 8,000, which means we are rounding to the nearest thousands. Our answer becomes 248,000. Remember, these 3 zeros are needed to give the correct place value. In 3057.8, the first significant figure is 3, the second is 0, and the third is 5. This 5 represents 5 tens, which means we are rounding to the nearest tens. Our answer becomes 3060. Remember, we do not put any zeros after the decimal point. In 71.045, the first significant figure is 7, the second significant figure is 1, the third significant figure is 0. This 0 represents 0 tenths, so we are rounding to the nearest tenths. We get 71.0. The 0 here is significant because we want correct to 3 significant figures. Any zeros after are not significant and not needed. In 0.02914, the first significant figure is 2, the second is 9, and the third is 1. This 1 represents 10 thousandths, so we are rounding to the nearest 10 thousandths. We end up with 0.0291. Remember, the zeros before are needed to give the correct place value, but none are needed after the 1. Here are some tricky examples. If we have to round 29,645 correct to 2 significant figures, we need to identify the significant figures. 2 is the first significant figure, 9 is the second significant figure. The 9 here represents thousands, which means we are rounding to the nearest thousands. Because of the 6, we round up and we get 30,000. The 3 and the 0 are the 2 significant figures. The 3 zeros here are needed to give the 30 its value of 30,000. In this example of 0.0971 correct to 1 significant figure, we would identify the 9 as the first significant figure. This 9 represents hundredths, so we are rounding to the nearest hundredths. Because of the 7, we need to round up, so this actually becomes 0.10. Remember, we wanted it to the nearest hundredths. If we didn't have the 0, then it wouldn't be hundredths. I hope this all makes sense and has been helpful.
Thank you for watching. Have a lovely day.